Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. We enter the final day of group play for the VCT Champions event, and there's 2 teams still to qualify and 2 teams still to get eliminated. Lots of talking points last night with some crazy series going down, but also some drama with regard to trash talk, as there always seems to be. KangKang apologising for some of the words he said over the last few days, but Ardiis is absolutely not holding anything back ahead of their series against BLG. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's dive straight in. Now, first of all, some further reaction, as you might have expected, to the off-season tournament drama. So we saw Gen.G with the tournament that he's got upcoming here, exactly how that's going to be presented, what the tournament is. So pretty cool stuff. And this has now been, well, it was leaked slightly ahead of time, but as Tarek says, yeah, Ludwig or Tarek Invitational, number 2, coming soon. Exciting stuff, absolutely. Now, we saw this yesterday from Leah Farrier, who said EMEA will spend the off-season polishing their trophies, apparently. Now, I said yesterday, like, this guy doesn't help himself sometimes, I think, with some of the tweets that he decides to make, because then he replies, come on, folks, the joke is about EMEA winning everything this year. There are literally 9 events across EMEA announced so far, which is already more than last year. It will be awesome. So, okay, sure, there are 9 things going on in the off-season across EMEA, but as Lucas Rojo says in the replies, it's not really as simple as that, because you can only compete in the events of your region, apparently, in that side. And it's tricky for these teams to put stuff on. And I will say that part of me says, what do these players really expect Riot to do? Because the off-season is not set up by Riot necessarily. Maybe it should be, right? And coming from like a Call of Duty esports background, the actual league itself, as far as I'm concerned, basically does nothing really. A couple of things maybe, but the off-season, they don't really do anything, and there aren't really many other third-party organisers that come in to run stuff. There's a few things, but not that much happens generally in the downtime, whereas in VALORANT, there are a lot of other organisers wanting to come in and run events here, which is good. And it's not, you know, Riot run the regular season. Maybe they should also do things in the off-season, sure, but they don't really, and it's not necessarily on them to determine what the third-party organisers and, you know, companies want to sponsor and want to decide to put on. But Lucas Rojo does make a fair point that EMEA is not just EMEA. If he wants to compete from Spain, then, you know, he has to play in Spain. That's just how it is. So please, I'm tired of all this Twitter gibberish. Start providing, or your game won't be suitable for people to invest in. Stop joking and start working. And I kind of agree, like, when he's just joking, you know, if he says, oh, I'm just joking around, it's maybe not the best time to joke around, because, as Ekel says, come on, mate, there's not a single open event for Europe. Every one of the 9 events is region-locked, besides this influencer tournament. No Game Changers events at all, so you think it's fine to make jokes while people are losing their jobs? One event in 6 months off-season isn't good. So I totally get this point of view. That maybe given the circumstances, Riot straight up just do need to step in and do more in the off-season. And even Safe from Liquid gives his thoughts. I love competing in VALORANT, but it's very scary to see this region, you know, locked on off-season tournaments. Why are we not encouraging open tourneys with no invite? I fell in love with esports because of the chances I was provided in CS. Shameful right now. I was playing $100 cups with 4 Hyries screaming down my lungs. You want to breed talent? That's where you start. Not this lame system with these influencer tourneys. They already have the attention. Bring it to the aspiring players. So, yeah, quite the statement has got to be said on that one. But let's talk about this trash-talking drama as well, because Chronicle said, so the other day we saw this went down. KangKang gave his thoughts on Giants, right? And he either said that we're going to consider them to be trash when we play them, or they are trash straight up. And then he was just straight joking around KangKang when he said to Durka, I'm going to beat you hard like when we play this type of stuff. And, you know, it's all, okay, little bit of fun, little bit of nice little trash talk. And I think this stuff, you know, the trash talk and everything, it should happen naturally. I don't think it should be forced by any means, but I don't really have a problem with it being encouraged to a certain extent. I think it makes the scene more interesting. And let's be honest, will more people tune in to NRG versus BLG tonight? Because Ardiis has been talking all this trash on Twitter, and after their previous series they want to get Zeta Division. Almost certainly yes. And the same story for the other ones as well. You've got to allow the players to lean into this stuff, and look, a lot of these players wear their heart on their sleeve, and, you know, it's an emotional game. They're going to say emotional things, and if they can back that up where they play, fantastic. If they don't, they're going to get clowned for it, and that's how it works. So Chronicle says, if someone would pay me for trash talking, you will forget that this Twitter account was family friendly at the same moment. So we'll see about that one. But KangKang actually came out with a very surprising, I've got to say, response to it. And I don't exactly know what compelled him to think that he needed to do this. And I know that different cultures and different regions perceive trash talk slightly differently, and maybe there's part of KangKang that thinks, you know what, I am pretty much the the star guy of Chinese FPS games right now, especially Chinese Valorant, and looked up to by many aspiring players in his own country, his own region, that are trying to make it in the future. So maybe part of him thinks, you know what, maybe I should be a little bit more careful what I say, and not talk too much trash and be a bit more reserved in my character. But I don't, if you're not being true to yourself and the way that you want to act as a player, like if you win and you want to talk trash, go for it, as far as I'm concerned, if that's how you feel in the moment. But maybe he feels like he needs to change things a bit, or maybe his organization has said, hey, like, we want you to apologize for this, because as he said, faced with these inappropriate words, I didn't realize that so many people would see them now, which may lead to some bad spread. I still speak like a child without any hesitation and will actively face your criticism and correct it. If you have been harmed by what I say, I'm truly sorry. So maybe discussing what he said to Giants or what he said to Durka, but I mean, I don't really think there was anything in it. And Durka responded being like, look, bro, like, it's chill, you know what I mean? It's all in good fun, and pretty much every player was in the replies saying, like, you did absolutely nothing wrong. There's no need to apologize here. Like, it's just a bit of good fun. So I think it's a little bit of a shame if KangKang does feel like he needs to change his attitude, I suppose, towards some of the stuff that he says. But we'll see if anything is different, because I imagine that in the heat of the moment after a series is over, we're still going to get spicy stuff said. And there's been spicy stuff happening every single day, and Ardiis hasn't stopped. So Ardiis has decided to just lean into this fully and just go, full toxic to all the other regions and just lap up the death threats, frankly, apparently. So we see here the languages, and if you guys don't know what this is referring to, then, like, well, I don't know what to tell you anymore, to be honest. Gen.G, of course, playing today up against Bilibili Gaming, right, in the rematch of earlier in the tournament, and Ardiis, he pretends here he's at the gym, right, 4 more sets, I'll come back. I think maybe he did actually go to the gym. He's pretended here that he's absolutely slamming 140 kg on the bench, and Willman is like, there's no way he's lifting that, and Ardiis says, yeah, 12 clean reps at 315 pounds. Like, I have a very difficult time believing that, and Ardiis basically confirmed that he was just joking around here, right? But pretty funny stuff, I thought, of Ardiis nonetheless. The other part of this, as he says, was that he's already getting death threats apparently from China because of seemingly what he's saying to their region and their players, and saying that he's going to absolutely slam these Bilibili Gaming guys tonight when they play them. So he's already decided, you know what, let me just lean into this even more and just rile up the entire Brazilian fan base as well by the tweet that we just saw. So, I hope that Ardiis stays around next year, because of one of the players in the league that is very willing to lean into this stuff. Ardiis is the man, and if his team is actually better and he actually plays well, it makes the story even better. So he also tweeted this last night before then quickly deleting it. Who should we play in the playoffs? Or, who should we play in the playoffs, because we for sure aren't losing to Bilibili, and quickly deleted this. So I know that many people are going to be like, oh, here we go, preying on his downfall, right? Because if they do lose tonight, it will be comedy. There is no other way to put it. I think they'll win. They should win. But Ardiis has been doing his best to jinx the result here, because, as he says, there's no way losing to them again. But they lost before, so it's possible. Now, as Marv says, and I think he is probably correct on this, that NRG core doesn't lose rematches generally. I don't really think, especially, okay, formerly Optic, right? But it's tough to predict them to lose these rematches. They tend to just win them most of the time. And as he says, 90% chance NRG win this series. And I think that they probably will. Before we get there, though, got to discuss the series that went down yesterday. So this was so crazy, man. I can't believe, if you're a Na'Vi fan, I feel bad for you, because I just don't understand how they're putting you through this amount of pain, to be perfectly honest. These guys, like, pretty much every single map that they played, Na'Vi, this tournament, went to like 24 rounds or something like that. It was always 13-11 or overtimes. Absolutely insane. But eventually, they win map 1 here on the Pearl, and then it goes a crazy bind, actually, and Les was a monster here. And there was this big 4v2 that happened right at the end of binds that Doombros was not at all happy about. I mean, honestly, it's such a wild series. 2 very closely matched teams, but Loud eventually get over the line and eliminate CNED and Co from the tournament. So my hot take from the groups didn't come true, and Loud did eventually get through groups by the skin of their teeth, and it does mean that the only players that still have a chance to become the first 2-time champions winners are Aspas, Les, and Salak, with CNED now eliminated. I don't think they're going to do it. As I said when they lost their first round game, I was like, well, to DRX, I said, well, the team is still good enough to make it through, even if they don't play their best game, and even if there is internal conflict and issues and stuff like this, their team is way too talented to, you know, for sure be going out of the tournament, and they did indeed make the run and qualify. Not sure how much further they're going to go, though. They will, of course, play a number 1 seed when they get to the bracket play, because they qualified as the 2nd seed from the group, so they will play a number 1 seed from another group that isn't DRX, of course, so they will play either Evil Geniuses, Fnatic, or potentially, I suppose, Paper X as well. So, you know, Loud versus Paper X, Loud versus Fnatic, Loud versus EG. It's pretty spicy, you gotta say, any of those matches that go down. But, I mean, yeah, wow. What a series. Les had a monster one as well, but that bind 13-11. I think it was 13-11 on the Ascent as well. So, yeah, if you're a Na'Vi fan, you gotta be gutted about this. And it was 13-11 game 1. Just completely insane maps that Na'Vi played this series, or this tournament, really. But they're now out of it officially. So Na'Vi go home. They might have to think about changes as well. I will think about changes as well, because they've not been as impressive as they would have wanted to be this year. And the second game was FUT Esports versus T1. Glad I changed my mind on this and said, all right, yeah, FUT Esports are going to be the favourites and they should probably win. And they did win. It was more competitive than the first time they played, but I mean, both of these teams were trolling as hard as they possibly could, honestly. I couldn't believe some of the stuff here that was going down in this series. Both of these teams aren't very good as far as I'm concerned watching some of this gameplay, but they find themselves in what is basically a very easy group, let's be honest. They had FPX here and Evil Geniuses won it, and then it was FUT Esports versus T1. It was another 2-0. T1 go home, and T1 are like, they have good players on their roster, but they just haven't really had any decent success this season at all. They've made a lot of international tourneys, but they've bowed out very early on. So, you know, I think good players, but not the best team cohesion. I think they've got things to think about going forwards on that one. But today, the final 2 games of the group stages, Edward Gaming versus Giants, and like, I predicted Edward to go through, and I predicted NRG to go through, so I'm going to stick with that. I did say yesterday that I think Giants has a chance in this series, and I really think that they do. I think it's a 55-45% chance in favour of Edward Gaming, but I think this could honestly go either way. Really looking forward to it. And then we've got the big one, right? Billy Gaming versus NRG, the rematch. So can BLG pull out as great of a performance as they did first time around that caught NRG off guard? Maybe. I hope they can. And I'm expecting some close maps here, but I think that NRG will and should get over the line. And if they don't, well, we know for sure Ardiis is getting roasted hard in tomorrow's video. But very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.